Wrestlers have been trained in the ring to make sure they know how to perform a move as safely as possible, protecting both himself and his opponent in the ring from injury. However, there are some moves which will cause harm no matter what you do. In common practice, you would think that the wrestler who's on the receiving end of the move would be subject to the most pain, but not so. Sometimes the wrestler performing the move can cause just as much pain to himself. Here are 13 wrestling moves that can't be faked and must hurt like hell. Number 1. The Chop. Sure, it's easy to say, "Woo!" as your favourite grappler delivers a knife-edged chop to their opponent, but have you ever thought what it feels like to take a chop? Delivering a chop is going to hurt no matter what, because it's a move that can't be worked. Even worse for the wrestlers on the receiving end is that many wrestlers like to put some sizzle into their chops to make them look as real as possible. Back in the day, veterans such as Wahoo McDaniel or Greg the Hammer Valentine threw chops they could send their opponents into next Tuesday. When you heard the smacking of flesh, oh man! You also saw a red handprint on them that stunk for the next week. Just look at the welts on Daniel Bryan's chest at the Greatest Royal Rumble to know that the chop can cause some serious pain. Number 2. The KAWADA driver / GANSO bomb. There is good reason why this move has been known to be one of the most dangerous moves in professional wrestling, as it involves the wrestler literally dropping his opponent's head onto the mat without any protection. The move, however, was originally created by a botched GANSO bomb. The story goes that during a match between Toshiaki Kawada and Mitsuhara Misawa for the AJPW Triple Crown Championship, Kawada broke his arm, and when attempting to perform the GANSO bomb, he couldn't lift Misawa up. As a result, an exhausted Kawada dropped Misawa directly onto his head, stunning those in the audience. Kawada has used the move 3 times over his career, no doubt any less devastating than when he used it the first time. Number 3. Shattered Dreams. Whilst this is an illegal wrestling move resulting in a DQ finish, a number of wrestlers have been on the receiving end of it, but with most moves on this list, it will either target the head or spine. But this is different, it targets the lower region of the male anatomy. The move was used by Goldust, more so during the Attitude Era, and it involved him setting up his opponent in the corner turnbuckle, legs apart, and delivering what can only be described as a testicle punt. Ouch! Number 4. The Leg Drop. While Hulk Hogan took a somewhat average looking move and turned it into his legendary finisher, it also took a toll on his body night after night. The Hulkster's aching hips, knees and back needed surgery to keep him mobile after years of leg drops. A 2009 interview with Hogan highlighted the abuse his body had taken. Hogan recounted his woes. "My tailbone is bent from landing on my ass 400 times a year. My back's got all kinds of problems. My legs get numb. My hands are numb. My neck too. I've got arthritis and scoliosis. I'm 6'4". I used to be 6'7". The Hulkster's search for relief would see him undergo a number of spinal operations through the Laser Spine Institute, with Hogan later suing them, claiming the operations worsened his condition. Number 5. The Flying Headbutt. The Flying Headbutt is a wrestling maneuver that looks cool and keeps fans on the edge of their seat as they watch a superstar go to the top rope, wondering if the wrestler laying on the mat will roll out the way. Unfortunately, the fans should really be wondering how much spine damage the wrestler performing the move takes every time they execute it. Renowned 7-time National Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Champion Harley Race used the diving headbutt and recognized the move's dangers, experiencing the wear and tear on his body. Race is said to have cautioned Chris Benoit about the move's toll on the body, particularly when performed off the top rope. While we may never know for sure, it's believed Benoit's history of spinal problems and possibly his concussions were exacerbated by the diving headbutt. Wrestlers would be wise to stop performing this spine-busting maneuver. Number 6. The Double Underhook Facebuster. The pedigree is one of the most recognized finishers in wrestling, made famous by Triple H. He's performed the move in the WWE for over 20 years, but some fans aren't aware that this move is a modified version of a double underhook facebuster. This would see a wrestler underhook the opponent's arms, much like a pedigree, but on this occasion, devastatingly drive his opponent's head directly into the mat. With no way to protect yourself, the move no doubt hurts and it could easily cause serious neck injuries. Number 7. The military press. Professional wrestling has seen some true powerhouses, superstars who can hoist their opponents over their head and press them up and down like a human barbell. While this is impressive, it's not much fun when the wrestler drops the opponent. Over the years, wrestlers such as the Ultimate Warrior earned a reputation for haphazardly dumping his opponent onto the mat, and while others take a more guarded approach, it's next to impossible to land just right. While it's a given that any wrestling match is going to take its toll on an opponent, regardless of the sport's work nature, this is one move that can readjust a wrestler's spine for some time to come. Number 8. The Dropkick. Once upon a time, the dropkick was seen as a powerful move, capable of ending matches. The Rock and Roll Express used the double dropkick as their finisher, defeating much larger opponents such as the Russians and the Minnesota Wrecking Crew with it. Jim Brunzell of the 80s WWF tag team the Killer Bees had a remarkable dropkick as well, seemingly touching the sky as he performed it. While the dropkick is more of a transitional move, it's still used, and just as before, it's a difficult move to pull off without the person executing it feeling some kind of pain. Watch any video of a wrestler performing a good drop kick and notice their landing, whether they land on their back or hands. Number 9. Fire. As savvy fans know, fireballs are usually orchestrated using magician's flash paper and a disposable lighter. WWE Hall of Famer and hardcore pioneer The Sheik made his career throwing fire into his opponents' faces, stealing victory after victory, including a rare win over Andre the Giant with the underhanded tactic. Jerry the King Lawler learnt the art of throwing fire from The Sheik, incorporating it into his career as well, albeit not as frequently as The Sheik. The saying, "Don't play with fire unless you want to get burnt," applies here as well. While opponents who take the fire aren't going to end up looking like Freddy Krueger, as flash paper burns up almost instantly, the heat from the flames in your face are no doubt going to hurt. Number 10. The Flying Elbow Drop. WWE Hall of Famer Randy Macho Man Savage comes to mind whenever someone mentions the Flying Elbow Drop. His execution of the move was beautiful every time he performed it, with the Macho Man making it into one of wrestling's greatest finishing moves. Behind the scenes though, the move takes a hellacious toll on the body, with the wrestler executing it taking a big bump on their back, side or hip. Wrestling rumor has it that late in his career, Randy Savage told younger wrestlers he was unable to perform the move anymore because of the damage done to his body through the years. Number 11. The Spear. Wrestlers such as Edge, Goldberg and Roman Reigns have all used the spear to build excitement during their matches, oftentimes either using it as a finisher or a setup to a finisher. The spear is similar to a football tackle, but can be difficult on the wrestler performing it due to the wear and tear on their head, neck and shoulders. Add in that wrestlers perform this move night after night, and it's easy to understand why Edge has said it's possible the spear shortened his WWE career. Number 12. The Blockbuster. Despite his current status as wrestling's laughingstock for the way he ruined a shot in the WWF during the Attitude Era, and not to mention the infamous Judy Bagwell on a forklift match, wrestler Buff Bagwell enjoyed a consistent push in WCW, whether he was babyface Marcus Alexander Bagwell or the villainous Buff Bagwell. Bagwell's mix of muscles and high-flying skills were shown in his finisher, the Blockbuster, where he leaped off the top rope, somersaulting over his opponent as he executed the move. The Blockbuster, like any good move, was relatively painless for the person taking it, but it took a constant toll on Bagwell, who had landed awkwardly every night he performed it. And number 13. The BANZAI Drop. When Rodney Anoa'i arrived in the WWE, he made a huge impact as a 500+ pound sumo wrestler from Japan, Yokozuna. Yokozuna would steamroll over his opponents during the early to mid-90s, sending his opponents back to the dressing room on a stretcher. And this was primarily due to his devastating finisher. Just imagine a 500+ pound man flying down onto your chest and just sitting there whilst you're unable to breathe. The pain no doubt only got worse over time as Yoko got bigger during the end of his WWE career. Well guys, there you have it, 13 wrestling moves that can't be faked or hurt the person performing them. There are plenty more, so let us know in the comments down below if you want to see a part 2. As always, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.